This is Tushar Lall with Rolling Stone India. Yeah, so Dancing on the Grave is a show where basically this sociopath, he's buried his wife alive. And I had composed the theme for the show, the title track, in a school auditorium. So this is a very, very bizarre story. So my parents were doing a course in Pittsburgh, and I had traveled with them because I was jobless at that time. And my parents and their friends, they had booked this school auditorium to celebrate the end of their course and all. And I got dragged to that party, and they had essentially done this karaoke kind of a thing. And I was sitting in the party, and this is a little weird, but my idea of having fun is not going to a karaoke or a club, because I do music all day anyway. So if I listen to more of it, I get a little saturated. It's very weird. But because they had booked this in this American school, so I thought there must be a practice room with a piano in it or something. And I started walking around, and I found a piano, and I just sat down and I started playing the theme. And I mean, obviously, like back then, I didn't know like this would become the theme of the show. But I started playing a tune which was sinister, and then I think 2 years back, Patrick and Ankit, like Patrick's the incredible director of the show, and Ankit and Chalni, they're the producers. Both of them had made this like exceptional Bible, and they got in touch with me. And I read the Bible, and I read that it's about a woman who got like buried alive, and it's also one of my worst fears. Like if it happens to me, I'm gonna die out of fear, not out of asphyxiation. So I read the Bible, and I thought that like maybe this tune that I've composed, like maybe this tune which is in my bank of compositions, if I recontextualize it a little, it might work. And I think I sent it to Patrick, and he really loved it, and he was like, this should definitely be one of the main themes. And then eventually it became the title track. See, I definitely think that pulling something out of your voice memos is always very special, because when you are recording something with a very pure, unadulterated intent, like if I'm just sitting in my room and I switch on my phone and I start recording something, I think like intent-wise it's super pure, and there is no brief, there is no overarching guideline on what I need to do. I'm just doing it because I want to do it. So I always and this might also be a little weird, but I always prefer picking compositions out of my bank of 300, 400 compositions rather than directly working on a brief. Because I do feel that, if you've made something just because you wanted to make it, it always works out a little better. And something similar has happened to Dancing on the Grave, obviously. And yeah, I mean, I just think as unadulterated as you can be in your creative process, and once you've made it, you can obviously exploit it further, and you can pitch it, get it synced, and you can do multiple things. But when you're making it, you should just be with yourself with one sole intent, and it usually works out better than working on a brief. So I mean, so my act, the Indian Jam project, we do Indian adaptations of Hollywood scores, because I want to show that Indian classical instruments are exceptionally versatile, and our culture in general is it's very malleable. Because whenever people think of Indian classical, they think it's very regimental, and we wanted to maybe do something like Star Wars on Indian classical instruments, so that people of my age could associate a little more, and not just think it's regimental and boring, because I mean that's so not true, and there's so much to it. And I essentially wanted when I was doing Assassin's, when I collaborated with Assassin's Creed, or when I've done Interstellar, I wanted to become a bridge to bring people to Indian classical, and then actually explore the true depth of what Indian classical is, and not just stay at our videos. So that was the aim, and I was anyway very, very fond of scores. It's something that I really enjoy, because compositionally it's so challenging. So even I remember funny stories, even when we have done Harry Potter on Indian instruments, and I was sitting with my sarangi player, and he just told me all kinds of things, because Hedwig's theme compositionally doesn't fit on one rag, it goes in a lot of places. So we all laugh about it that how challenging it is to actually take Hollywood scores and do them on Hindustani instruments. So through that, I think I got into scoring, and that's how my perspective works as well. Like it's always a mix of Hindustani classical and Western classical. And but I mean, I think I've also done a bunch of songs which will be releasing this year for OTT films and like theatrical releases. And I think I'm really enjoying doing songs as well because it allows me to keep my process simple and like not over intellectualize stuff in my head, and I'm happier and like I keep it on the surface. So right now I'm enjoying both. Like I'm enjoying like scoring stuff. I love like true crime and docu space, like of course, and otherwise like I'm also like picking up some songs which are working well, which will hopefully work well. So with Indian Jam Project, we just finished a tour in north of Germany, not even in the main cities of Germany, and we were very scared because I mean, we weren't playing in cities like Munich, Frankfurt. We were there in like Papenburg and Solingen and Lingen. We hadn't even heard of these cities, and the venues are massive. So we were kind of a little scared that will we be able to fill these auditoriums? But I think because the tunes that we play and those scores are already very famous, and plus we are doing Indian classical improvisations within those tunes. So I think the musicianship part of it attracts a lot of people in general, no matter like which part of the world you're in. And that worked like very well in our favor, and we also sold out venues in like remote towns of Germany. So I think that was very cool, and we weren't expecting that at all. And we recently did a show at NMAC, like incredible venue, and we sold out that one as well. So now we are planning on maybe carrying on with like a domestic tour or an international tour where we just go and perform for people. I mean, it's the best life. Like we love doing that. I think definitely like if people would start understanding how equity works when it comes to IPs, like when it comes to songs, and if there could be some kind of incentivization, like direct incentivization, equity related incentivization when you're talking about a song, like it'll be really nice. Like if I can go to a lyricist and I can tell them about from paying you this X amount of sum, I can also pay you like a point percentage in a song. So I want that to expand not just with producers, like I also want that to be a thing with composers and with lyricists, not just in publishing but also in the master. And I know like it's a it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, and I understand that the people who are putting in the chunk of money in terms of like making the IP what it is, like they deserve 100% of the equity. But I would definitely want people to start small because it is a lot of money that we're talking about, and essentially it ends up becoming our salary. So I mean, if as a composer, if I have a point percentage on the master, like it can be my salary for the next 5 years, and it would be such a healthy change because I think every musician and every composer and every lyricist, like we are all really scared of not having enough money to like maybe enable whatever we want to do artistically. So I think if we are able to figure that, like if this is a startup idea, just take it, be someone, make it for impact. I think if that happens, like it'll be incredible. Okay, I don't think like they can be balanced, to be very, very honest. So I think the only way for me to understand, the only way for me to take all these verticals together is understanding that it will always be a little chaotic, but I don't have to try to change the chaos. Like maybe the answer is coexistence. So if I can coexist with being a performing artist and like making stuff for YouTube and composing for films, and it will be a little challenge. It will be a little challenging. It will always be 7 on 10. Like it's never going to be 10 on 10. But like I think if I can just accept that wholeheartedly, like it would really give me a lot of peace. So I mean, definitely like. I've been composing for films, and I've made songs for films, which I am a little scared to like for them to be out, and like I don't know like how people are gonna perceive them, but I'm happy that like I've started like on that journey as well. And then obviously I'm scoring like another docu-series like which is extremely interesting. So yeah, I think because of pandemic, like I just got I had no option but to also like start composing and producing, because basically the live sector had shut. And I think like it's one of the best things like that has happened to me, and exploring new things every day, and definitely more shows with the Indian Jam project, and more stuff on YouTube as well.